I have always been fascinated about two different facets in my life. Why am I here and what happens after I go? And I think that applies to all of us. And so we started the YouTube channel Near Death Network. Remarkable stories about remarkable individuals who have clinically died, transitioned, and come back to tell us their stories.
I went from, wow, this room is shaky. It felt like the room was shaking on me or tilting on me. And then all of a sudden, I just went into just a cool, calm darkness right away. And while I was in that almost electrical darkness, then I started to notice that there was something, as far as an image, starting to form in front of me. And to me, it looked like a movie. It really did. It looked like a movie being shot from the ceiling looking down. And it was of this dead body on the ground.
You're wondering, who the hell is that?
And my first thought was, wow, I feel bad for this guy. And then my second thought is I pulled some of my movie background out, and I started thinking, why would the director of photography shoot this film from above? That's kind of an odd selection or odd angle. And I was thinking that when I noticed that the manager had opened the bathroom, and I noticed all these other aspects, and I could hear the thoughts of every single person in that restaurant, including the manager, including the customer that wanted to use the restroom. I was hearing everything that everyone was saying. And again, I had this thought, like, why would the director choose to portray it this way? This is
quiet
weird.
On the set, for crying out loud.
Exactly, and it was noisy. Yeah. It was so noisy to the point that one thing, and I don't talk about this very often, but one point is, once they knew there was a dead body in there, the manager of the restaurant, he went around telling everyone, ooh, come look, there's a dead body in here.
Oh my gosh.
And the fry chef that was in the back, the fry cook, I heard him say, I've seen enough death in my life.
So I get on the gurney, and like I said, like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, I'm pretty much out. I'm out. And I remember right before I pass out, it just feels like sleep is coming, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Like, it's just, I'm shutting down. But I roll over on my left side, like because that's the way I normally sleep. And the last thought that I have is, this is gonna be some beautiful sleep. And I'm gone. And then there's a few transitions where I'm, like I said, the hearing is crazy. It sounds like I'm underwater. I see blackness, but where people were standing or are standing, I can see these specks of light, like pixels. Almost like a nighttime sky, like stars even in the blackness.
But, like a TV powering down?
Exactly, kind of like that, yeah. And I'm watching that, kind of like, like I said, just kind of seemed like I'm just shutting down. And then I go into the room where they are, where they're working on, where they're going to be defibrillating and working, resuscitating me. And I'm out of my body at that point. And I'm looking down at everything from above. And I see the defibrillator pads, I see the guy defibrillating, but there's this woman in the back of the room on the left side that's really, really holding my attention, because she's holding her face like this, and she's
worried about you.
Yes, in real distress. And I want to explain to her, and I'm trying to talk to her, yeah, this is beautiful. You should not feel bad about what's happening to me. This is beautiful.
I think what really intrigued me is that the similarities between the lessons that people learned. I mean, each experience is a little bit different, but the same messages kept coming back over and over again. That being love and loving people unconditionally, and how important that is in our life. Working through the fears. We all have fears of what we're doing, but we're being told to work through those fears and live fearlessly. We're all being told that we have a purpose. A lot of times people struggle with that aspect of my life. What is my purpose? And am I living my purpose? And we're all told, yes, you have a very important divine purpose in your life.
Now flames are in the actual inside of the car,
in the vehicle,
around me, and this dude puts his hands on the concrete sound wall, puts his butt up against the car, and in one of those miraculous moments, pushes as hard he can, moves the car about a foot. Moves the vehicle about a foot, just enough to get that door open a little bit. He drags me out, and just like a Hollywood movie, the whole thing explodes.
Like
and
3 seconds later.
Yeah, we're both knocked to the ground.
There was so much pain, and all I could think of was, oh my, an organ just burst or something. And I remember crying out to God for help before I went down, because I passed out and was unconscious on the ground. And I was very conscious of the fact that I was home alone. So I only came to because there was this insistent male voice that kept saying, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up now or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what he meant, that I was going to die if I didn't get some medical help. And I came to, I was on my side, lying in the bathroom. And Mark, it just, everything changed in my life because I could see these angels, and there were 4 or 5 of them. There was so much light coming from them.
And then when he's shifting into third, I'm thrown up against the emergency exit door. I was up, since I was the first one on, that's where I was standing with the emergency exit to my back. Now I'm thrown up against the door, and the door wasn't latched all the way. So the door pops open and I fall out of the bus. And I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm falling out of this bus.
I saw my body turn like a bruise like purple, and then a lifeless blue, and then like a brown / corpse like white, and my body was turning all these colors. And then as soon as I saw the heartbeat, that completely flat line from that second story of the proverbial house, with the glass panel separating us, I was just shuttled into this life review. And I mean, for those watching who might not know what a life review is, it's like this 360-degree, or at least mine was, this 360-degree panoramic screen. It's very hard to describe, but it's like a movie of your life is playing. But what I don't know how other people's life reviews go, but for my life review was, it was not just, I wasn't just watching this movie of my life, I was also in it. And I was also kind of experiencing this life review from other people's perspectives as well.
The first thought was, man, what was that? Being my life, on earth as Bill. And I said, that was so hard. And I was so happy to be free of it. This thing about divine peace and all this. We are become unburdened with the emotions of this place. And there's a design there. The emotions are very hard, and this is a really tough school to get through. And things like fear and jealousy and envy, those things don't exist. They don't go with us, and that's why nobody wants to return, because their true spirit, the true goodness, brightness that we all have as part of us, is at the forefront, and there is nothing else in the lingering in the background.
This particular time, they were going through withdrawal again. They picked up their refills and they decided just to eat all the pills at once. And it was a tragic scene. But as soon as my parents left Earth, my addiction stepped in and became my parent. It became my higher power, my whole universe. I'm even covered in tattoos of liquor bottles and packs of cigarettes. It branded me. This was my whole life, my entire identity. My addiction said, you can't stop using drugs because you'll let go of the legacy of your family. No matter how messed up the legacy is, you have to continue with me. And I just believed it. My addiction came, I abandoned my sister. I moved across the country. She was just a little kid. She was 18 years old. And I was like, I can't deal with this. And I went with my addiction somewhere else. I've been married and divorced a handful of times. My addiction came before every partner, everything in my life. I didn't have space in my life for any thoughts. And eventually my addiction really started to progress, and I could no longer keep a job. I became a prostitute. I was on the verge of homelessness many, many times throughout my life. And in 2019, I experienced a drug overdose. Surprise, I took too many drugs. Who would have thought? I would have thought for sure. And I had this very spiritually transformative experience in my overdose. And the first part of it was like a life review. And it was it was tragic because I wasn't just a traumatized person. I just shared a bunch of trauma that I went through, but I was a traumatized person who maliciously, intentionally traumatized other people all the time. I wanted people to feel as badly as I did in my life. And so I was super harmful, very manipulative, very abusive, domineering, ruthless, maniacal.
So in that experience, did you viscerally feel what you did to others?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it was very quick. You know, like everything is happening instantaneously. And as I was experiencing that, then I started to feel everything that's ever happened in the whole human experience. It felt like I was having a life review for the entire collective because I was experiencing things that I didn't experience in life. Like childbirth was part of my life review, but I have never had a child. A child dying was part of my life review, but that's never happened. That's not my experience. And so it really felt like I was just feeling this whole collective thing. Like, what is Earth about? Here are some of the experiences on Earth.
My name is Mark Lewis, longtime sportscaster, lifelong metaphysician, always fascinated with all topics in metaphysics, including the near-death experience, which we focus on here on the Near-Death Network. We talk to experiencers about what they went through and the significance of their experiences. We talk to academics and clinicians. We combine all of those interviews to kind of reset our definition of what death is, that it's not finite, it's infinite, it's an extension of consciousness. So join us here on the Near-Death Network on YouTube. My name is Mark Lewis. I appreciate you stopping by, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave us your comments.